Hey, what's up, everybody? So, in today's video, I'd actually like to delve into something a little bit more broad, but at the same time, very familiar, because I feel like a lot of gamers and pretty much every single gamer who's ever competed competitively or wanted to improve at a high level has wanted or thought about this idea, and that's making their skills second nature. I feel like a good amount of people wish that they were able to get to a point where that was the case, especially when it comes to very high level techniques. And when I'm talking about high level techniques, let's think about a shooter. I'm talking about flicks. I'm talking about legitimately being able to lock on and target acquisition people in the midst of a split second, or legitimately be able to track someone while they're flying across the sky. Not having to think too much when that stuff is happening brings you to a whole nother level. And I feel like a lot of people don't necessarily understand how to even take the first step towards that. And it's unfortunate because I feel like a lot of tutorials out there and just only tell you the one-on-ones and don't really delve too far into being or into the theory of being that good. They just say land in the most aggressive, most chaotic place possible, and then king of the hill style, whoever wins wins, and then you just have to become the guy who wins, and it's not conducive to learning whatsoever. That's legitimately just not the best practice when it comes to becoming better technically or skill wise in a game. And I feel like a lot of people may argue with me because that is completely against the norm. Now, think about it. When we think about the logical perspective, when we think about the approach, the idea of learning is varied. People are different. You can't just force every single person in the entire world to jump into tilted towers and expect to come out better than they ever were before, when all they see is 50,000 grenade explosions and everyone shooting them in the face like it's nothing. And then you realize, oh my god, the visual clutter is so bad that I can't see. That's not exactly the best approach. And yeah, maybe it's a little bit over exaggerated, but at the same time, it makes sense coming from somebody who actually tried to take a lot of these quote unquote approaches to heart and try to apply them to my own gameplay. When I worked at getting better, I found that many styles of teaching worked. Many styles of approaches worked. From playing positioning, not ratting, but I mean ratting also works at being able to teach you how to be a better positioner, but playing the passive game, playing the defensive game, playing the aggro game, playing balanced. There's so much that you could possibly do to be able to be better. And I feel like a lot of people legitimately just need to understand and open their minds, become more critical thinkers when it comes to approaching their own technical skill. Because think of second nature. The idea of hitting your flicks comes from experience and practice. You can't just learn it in a day, nor can necessarily it be done within the span of 2 or 3 days realistically, right? You need to be able to put in the work. I know people don't really want to hear that because they want something that's really quick. And despite it all, second nature aspects come from being able to know where someone's going to be at any given point in time. Or for example, legitimately going to practice range and just doing it for fun. You go in there, flick your flicks, hit the dummies all day every day, maybe not all day every day, but for like an hour or two every day, you'll get better. And honestly, as you have fun with it, with the second nature aspect, the better you'll be. Because imagine, let's say you're flicking and you're destroying dummies. Bring that to a game, kind of have it as a conditioned action, and you kind of have a good idea of how you're legitimately able to do it. And then you try to implement it. It's going to feel different at first, but at the same time, once you find success, it feels incredible. You're going to really feel that surge of excitement when you hit those flicks. Like, holy fuck, I just destroyed that kid. It's over. you know? And who knows, maybe your KD isn't that bad at that moment and it takes some time. But conditioning, it's kind of like boxing. It's kind of like any sport. You get better when the more you practice it, but you got to make it fun. And flicking is honestly a thing that a lot of people tend to not really delve into as much as they should because of how seemingly crazy and impossible it seems. But you see a lot of people who do it. these people are humans too. I think that's what people really need to understand. These guys are people. They had to learn that skill through repetition, through some sort of straightforward approach. They're not divine. They're not going to be able to legitimately just pick up a controller and just be instantly good. And let's say they're instantly good, right? From your perspective. You don't know the background. For all you know, they could legitimately have been consistently practicing ever since the dawn of time. Or hell, maybe if they're that gifted execution wise, they're not that gifted thinking wise, like theorycraft wise. Maybe they're really good at being able to flick, right? Especially when it comes to natural proficiency. But then certain weaknesses tend to showcase themselves because not everyone is perfect. It's interesting. The world's a very interesting place. And the second nature aspect really comes in when, well, when you apply yourself within the competitive scenario. Imagine you got your flick down, you got your dodge rolls down, you got your spot dodges down, you got your like edge coverings down, you got everything down in every possible way of gaming there is. And you put yourself in a scenario where you're playing against someone else who's done a lot, but let's say they don't have all of those covered. They've gotten there through struggling. You'd smoke them. You would smoke them. Not even close. And it's kind of Jover, to be completely honest. Like, what the heck are they going to do? And I guess that's an interesting thing, right? A lot of people tend to think that the concept itself is very simple and they should apply, or they'd easily be able to apply themselves to it. But that's the thing. Taking the first step is always the most difficult part. You just gotta jump in and have fun with it. And yeah, people are gonna say, oh, it's so boring doing training grounds. Make it fun. Figure out a way to make it fun. You're gonna have to. The more competitive you get, the more you'll have to adapt to your minuscule, to your own ways of approaches. You're just gonna have to put in the reps. And it comes with experience. Every single time. Experience is key. And as much as intellectuals and academics say so, that their understanding of the game is much more high level than whatever experience gets you, well, that's completely wrong. You have to put in the reps. And you'll see exactly what I mean. When you're actually able to compete at the highest level, there are going to be a lot of people who think their mind can get them so far. But it has to be a balance every time. It has to be. It always has to be. When you're talking about theorycraft, when you're talking about execution. Remember how I said you had to have both? You gotta have a balance. Now imagine second nature theory crafting. Isn't that kind of crazy? Can you imagine you've done enough theory crafting in your lifetime to start seeing patterns across multiple games when it comes to strategy? To the point where you know how to manipulate people's tendencies and you know how to predict where the hell they're going to be at any given point in time. Or not any given point in time, like a good chunk of the times that really matter? Oh shit. Can you imagine if you have your execution second nature as well? You will be an unstoppable force. And you will constantly be one of the best performers in your team. That is one hell of a place to be. And I feel like, and I know, a lot of people, and everyone, I think, can get to that point. Hopefully, you know, through some of these videos, you guys would be able to get some insight on how you can do that, if that is your goal, or if you ever decide that you want to go down this path. But once again, I believe that is everything in this video that I'd like to talk about. I feel like I digressed a little bit, but at the same time, I circle back. It's pretty good. But anyways, guys, I thank everybody for taking the time to watch and taking the time to listen. I feel like I'm just having a great time talking about whatever and honestly whatever topic when it comes to competitive gaming because I feel like, it's just very interesting to be able to delve deep into these topics and actually touch on them in a way that maybe other people haven't before. It's fun. I also do it in my own flavor and style. I know people tend to do the whole 101s and how to's, and I get that. It's really important to be able to have those. But to have one for higher echelons, I think I'm going to be focusing more on that in the future. But anyways, guys, once again, thank you so much for taking the time. And I honestly got to start reminding, but please make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. It would really help me out a lot. But thank you guys once again, and have a fantastic night. Peace out, everybody.